unrealistic expectations are not a flaw. They're the fuel that gets us moving. But the skill is actually learning how to navigate once we get going towards whatever goal we set our minds to. In this episode of Gen X-Xpat, I'll share a recent misadventure. The 4 steps I use to set realistic expectations and a truth or dare for your Gen X amusement. Welcome to Gen X-Xpat, where I share about the real expat experience, the hopes, the hiccups, and hopefully the growth. Today's theme is realistic expectations, how to set them, and how to adapt when the map and the road don't match, which is often. I moved from Alaska to Mauritius and learned quickly that optimism is necessary and great, but preparation and then flexibility will keep me safe. If you're exploring the idea of life abroad, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell. It helps build this channel as opposed to the channel dying in obscurity. So, unrealistic expectations are inevitable when we do something new. As a Gen Xer, I've stepped out on a ledge so many times where I make a plan or I create something and I am faced with adapting to reality. Like the neighbors right now, building something in the parking lot. Expectations are part of motivation. Our minds fill in gaps with imagined outcomes because we're oriented towards the future and we're oriented towards managing uncertainty. Philosophers like Kierkegaard suggest that we project ourselves forward and that we are always in the process of becoming. And that projection brings both freedom and anxiety. Here is a recent encounter with expectations. On New Year's Day, I took a little scooter ride across the island of Mauritius. I expected a breezy adventure, but reality had other plans. Today is a perfect day to go on a scooter ride around the island of Mauritius. Now, there's not going to be any traffic, so I'm super excited about that. I'm not the most confident scooter rider, so no traffic is a bonus. And I could have started earlier, maybe should have, but I was super busy this morning, not thinking about anything. So let's get going. I'm super excited. Hopefully, I'm thinking it's 200 miles all the way around, so maybe 8 hours? We'll see. It's 8:30. Alright, so I have made it about 100 miles. I've gotten lost a couple of times. And I am going back north. I haven't made it all the way down south, and it's almost 1 o'clock. I found a vacant outdoor cafe that I was able to break in and sit down and eat in the shade because it's really hot and I forgot my sunscreen and I'm super windburned and sunburned. So I am going to start back and call it a day and be happy that I made it this far. Wow, I am so glad to be back. It has been 7.5 hours. I am sunburned, dehydrated, and my fanny hurts a little bit. I'm a little bit tired. And then I rolled up and look at my apartment. There's a tree right here. I just saw. Oh my gosh. Somebody is building a home right there in the tree. I'm gonna have to watch for that. Anyway, I'm glad to be back. It was not, turns out, realistic for me to travel around the entire island in one day. That was not a realistic thing to do. But I was able to get almost all the way south and through the city twice, the biggest city in Mauritius. I don't recommend that on a 50cc moped. Anyway, so another time for finishing that route. Anyway, I'll put this away and get some water. So there's a couple things that happened. The first was I'm not that familiar with the environment. I've only been here 6 months. The intensity of the sun, the unfamiliar route, and driving on the left side of the road. 6 months? How could a person know that? All those things. It's unrealistic. Okay. Second thing was I lost navigation and I didn't write out routes. I didn't write out road numbers. And the internet got really off and on and spotty. And then finally, dehydration. I hadn't really fully internalized the fact that when you're riding a scooter or a motorcycle, you're not drinking water unless you have like the tube, which I don't have. I just have water bottles. So I started getting dehydrated, and once that happens, there's a problem. So no preparation. I didn't bring sunscreen, and I didn't check to see if petrol stations were open on New Year's Day, which thankfully they were. And then I modified the plan and I got home safely, but it could have been a lot worse. And so I'm super grateful. I have to tell you though, my ego didn't want to modify the plan. I was just really dug into and committed to this plan that I was going to make it around the island in one day. And I'm sure that it's doable, okay? But not on that day with that transportation for me. So in our home in the US, my home in the US, it's so easy to take these things for granted. It's easy to navigate with ease. But abroad, our brain is doing extra work. It's interpreting people's accents and language patterns. It's interpreting traffic, which behaves very differently. And it's interpreting smells and environmental norms. And it's watching out for random animals that not used to seeing everywhere. And if you run on assumptions, you run on trouble. And so you have to be alert all the time. And that keeps your brain working overtime. So is it realistic to expect to be successful living overseas if you've never lived overseas before? Yes, with planning and preparation, you can succeed overseas. I've never lived overseas before. And no, it's not realistic for it to be smooth at first. If you're willing to understand that it's not going to be smooth and it's not going to be easy and there's going to be frustrations and anxiety, then you're going to be okay. The 4 steps that I think are necessary to create realistic expectations for expats is 1, learn about your options. the requirements and the constraints for wherever you are going. Research the visa, the housing, the transportation, the healthcare, the local norms, the music, the food, everything. Ask, what is it like? What is possible? What is off limits? What do I need versus what do I want? All of those are great questions. And there are many YouTube channels that will actually sell you a PDF or a guidebook to help you with that. Second, number 2, make a clear decision with an understanding of the trade-offs that you'll be making. Pick a path knowing what you're saying yes to and no to, so that you avoid your decision drift. Oh, maybe I should have done this one. No, know what you're saying no to. Know what you're saying yes to. Plan and prepare. Build a flexible plan. Your travel plan should include substantial support for the first 60 days. I hired an agency that another expat recommended to me. I met with that agency representative over Zoom several times before I left the US. And I had a contract that listed all the services that the agency was delivering. And they held my hand, not literally, but figuratively, through the entire visa process, through getting short-term and long-term housing, and then just for day-to-day questions. Where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? I'm so confused. They were great. And they're still available to me if I want them for the lifetime of being here. And then follow through with your plan, but adapt. Prioritize reality once you get here or wherever you're going, reality over the plan. When the map, which is the plan, and the real world do not match, respond to the real world, not with self-blame or anger, but with adaptation and adjustments. Just a side note here, most of the complaints I hear on expat channels about returning home are about unmet expectations with infrastructure and bureaucracy. And the complaints are legitimate. No shade there. Legitimate complaints. But expectations can be managed. Bureaucracy can be walked through. And we can adapt. So if you want to build resilience, clarity, internal awareness that helps you prepare for the expat life, join me for a guided journaling experience on my Substack channel called Island Punk. Or you can purchase the Mental Wealth Journey on Amazon. Both are perfect for improving and increasing your frustration, tolerance, reframing expectations, and tracking your growth. Also, developing an internal dialogue that can help soothe the anxiety that comes with a new environment. All right, Gen X, truth or dare? Truth. Where are your expectations most unrealistic right now? Is it skills, timelines, cost, or your emotional bandwidth? Name one or multiple. And dare. Plan a micro challenge this week that increases your tolerance for confusion. I feel like I'm yelling, but it's getting really loud in the parking lot. Say again. Plan a micro challenge this week that increases your tolerance for confusion. Listen to a podcast in a heavy accent. Navigate with only offline maps, or take a new route and note your stress signals. Debrief with someone afterwards. What helped you regulate your emotional response so that you could continue to think clearly? Unrealistic expectations get us moving. We don't want to get rid of them, but realistic expectations keep us safe. So learn, choose, plan, prepare, and adapt to reality. That's the expat rhythm. There's no rush. Take your time. Commit to solving problems as they arise, and let willingness be your compass. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more real-world expat episodes. And until next time, keep your map handy and keep your eyes on the road.